Good evening from Kingdom of Bahrain, Historical and Archaeological Society. I welcome all the participants in tonight's lecture, which is titled History of Technical Education. I'm honored to represent briefly our guest speaker, Dr. Ibrahim Sayyid Jamal al-Hashmi. Ibrahim Sayyid Jamal has a PhD in Management Development in 1987 UK. He has MSc Education Management 1980 UK, Postgraduate Diploma 1979 UK, Licensed Auto Engineer 1976 UK, Technical Engineer, the Council of Engineering Institute 1974 UK, Advanced Certificate in Education 1974 from United Kingdom, Diploma in Administration of Secondary Schools 1972, American University Beirut, Teachers Training Certificate 1971 from UK, received training at Babcock, Bahrain, which is Bahrain Petroleum Company, Motor Sims Unit in UK, Krypton in UK, Tanker and Smith in UK, Perkins in UK, Rover Motor Company in UK, Ministry of Work Garages, UK. Position he has held: member of the Consultative Shura Council in Bahrain 1996 till 2000, advisor for Higher Education, Ministry of Education 1995-2000, President University of Bahrain 1991-1995, President Arabian Gulf University 1988-1993, Vice President for Administration and Finance University of Bahrain 1987-1988, Dean of Gulf Polytechnic 1983-1987, Deputy Director, Technical Education and Vocational Training, 1975 and 1980. Principal of Manama Secondary Technical School, 1972-1975. Head of Auto Department, 1968-1969. Teacher, 1962-1968. Higher Education Training in the UK, 1958-1962. Assistant Teacher, Technical Secondary School, 1957-1958. He is member, Board of Trustees, Kano Award, and a fellow member of several professional bodies. He has served as a member on several local and international boards, participated and presented papers on international, regional, and local conferences, seminars, workshops, has a number of publications, monographs, and working papers. I may add, overall, he is a sincere, hardworking, active mind, and unique struggle and challenge story to be told. I would like to welcome Dr. Ibrahim al-Hashmi to give us the history of technical education.
Thank you very much indeed for these nice and kind words. Good evening to you, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this evening. I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude and appreciation to the President of the Society, Dr. Isa Amin, a unique person, indeed a unique person, and his dedicated group committed to revealing Bahrain's distinguished past and its long history extending over the past 6,000 years and continuing and contributing in no small measures to making us what we are today and what we hope to become in the future. And for inviting me to share with you a very brief overview, history of the development of technical education and vocational training in Bahrain. My thanks go to Mr. Kamal Adib, Information Advisor, Office of His Excellency Minister of Education, to Mr. Hassan Amin, former Director of Technical and Vocational Education and the Ministry of Education for providing me with recent information on the development of technical education and vocational training, and to the authors of History of Technical Education in the Kingdom of Bahrain. My appreciation to Mr. Mahmoud Mirza Abdullah, General Manager Engineering Babcock, for the information on education and training provided by the oil company. I would welcome any questions or comments that you may have, which I'm sure will be of tremendous value to me. The first industrial school started in 1936 by adding one class to Al-Hidayah School in Muharraq and another class to West Primary School in Manama, limited to carpentry, with 18 students and 2 teachers who were recruited from Syria through the American University of Beirut. In 1937, 2 other disciplines were added: fitting and blacksmith. During the year 1937-38, there were 6 students in the carpentry and 6 students in the blacksmith sections at Manama School and 6 students in the carpentry section at Muharraq School. The authorities were encouraged to build a separate independent technical school in Manama in 1938-1939. The technical school was then the responsibility of the Electricity Directorate. Slide 2 shows Muharraq and Manama primary schools. Slide 3 sorry, but some problem we have with this. Slide 3 shows technical school in 1937, and slide 4 shows students in the carpentry section in 1939. In March 1940, Mr. Hutchins, director of Baghdad Technical School, was invited by the British Council upon the government's request and advised in the reorganization of technical schools. He presented his report to Mr. Adrian Valence, Director of Education, and also to Babcock's Managing Director, Mr. Thornburg, who gave minor comments and presented the final report in a letter to Sir Charles Belgrave on 2nd July 1940. Sorry, gentlemen, we seem to have, yes. This slide shows, this slide shows His Highness Sheikh Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, Sir Charles Belgrave, and Babcock's Managing Director, Mr. Thornburg. The report highlighted the necessary equipment required for training. He proposed the need for a better cooperation between Babcock and the government. The syllabus proposed outlined the subjects, a number of hours allocated for both theoretical and practical subjects, as shown in slide number 6. The response from Babcock's Managing Director, Mr. Thornburg, was encouraging and stressed: 1, practical training should be close to the reality. 2, there should be another syllabus concerning the operation relevant to the oil process. And 3, focusing on training Bahrainis to receive job-based relevant training. He explained the process and the time required in the oil industry to prepare qualified workers. There was also a proposal to extend the study at the school from 2 years to 3 years. The government accepted the report, and the construction of additional workshops and other facilities began in 1942. The technical school was run by a British principal, Mr. Steele. He was a government engineer from 1936 to 1939, followed by Mr. Abdullah Jamaluddin from 1939 to 1940. I'm sorry, we seem to have a problem here. Yes. Next one here. Yes, that's the one. The report also recommended that a British headmaster be appointed. And in 1941, Mr. Hetchinger took over the school until 1945. In 1945, Mr. Saeed Tabbar, a Lebanese from the American University Hospital, was appointed as headmaster of the school, who promoted technical education and maintained the standard. According to the communication between Sir Charles Belgrave and the British political resident in 1940, 2 students from Kuwait were accepted. Later, 4 more students from Kuwait were also admitted. In 1941, the number of students were 20 and increased to 65 in 1942, including 6 scholarship holders from Kuwait. And the subjects taught were English, mathematics, drawing, and workshop technology, besides practical training. In general, by 1942, the standard of the technical school has improved, partly due to the elimination of weak intakes and partly to the selection recruitments. In 1943, 3 graduates, Mr. Ahmed al-Shomali, Ali Sayyar, and Abdurrahman al-Joda, were chosen and sent to the Egyptian Technical School in Cairo to be trained as teachers in mechanical, electrical, and auto mechanics. They're actually circled the names of the 3 who went on scholarship to Cairo. In 1948, the number of students enrolled increased to 60. Although the technical school was part of the education department, it had continued to be under the supervision of the Electricity Directorate until 1939, but remained under direct control of Sir Charles Belgrave. Slide 11 shows 1949 football team. Slide 12. So slide 12 shows technical school staff and students, and slide 13 shows the developed fitting workshop in 1954. For many years, technical education remained unfavorable. To encourage students pursuing technical education, an inducement allowance was paid monthly to every student joining the technical school. This allowance was increased during the 1950s and reduced from 15 rupees to 5, but was abandoned in the year 1956. In 1956-57, electrical, automobile sections, and the chemical lab for 3rd and 4th year were introduced. In 1957, the school became under the Education Directorate for inspection purposes, but the administrative affairs remained under the advisor of Bahrain government, Sir Charles Belgrave. For approximately 21 years, the technical school was under Sir Charles Belgrave until he left Bahrain early morning on 18th April 1957. Slide 14 shows the total number of students. In 1950-51 was 65, and the graduate was 6. It increased in 1959, 60 to 85, and the graduates to 13. Slide 15 shows that from 1950-51 to 1955-56, the duration of study was 4 years for those with fourth primary education. And the study system consisted of 2 years theoretical until students reached 6th primary and 2 years Egyptian intermediate technical school syllabus. From 1956-57 to 1959-1960, the duration of study was 3 years for those with primary education, and the study system consisted of 2 years intermediate technical education, plus 1 year completing technical education syllabus for the first category. As for the second category, the duration of study was 4 years for those who have completed first primary education, and the study system consisted of 1 year 6th primary syllabus, 2 years intermediate technical syllabus, plus 1 year completing the technical syllabus. In 1958, improvements were made to mathematics, science subjects, and a new auto mechanics section was added. Evening classes were introduced, and in 1959, specialized teachers for electrical, auto, and foundry sections were recruited. During the 60s, much progress was made in the syllabus and student numbers. Many who went on scholarship to the UK started to come back in 1962. Two new sections were opened in the auto department, one for electrical and the other one for engines. In 1967-68, refrigeration and air conditioning section was opened. Slide 16 shows display of products made by students. By 1967, 14 students have been sent on a scholarship to the United Kingdom for higher studies and training, out of which 10 had returned. Private organizations such as KANU and others offered 6 scholarships to technical school graduates to continue their high studies in the UK. Slide 17 shows the number of students in different specializations. In 1960-61, the total number of students reached 123 with 13 graduating. And in 1969-70, the total number of students increased to 464 with 42 graduating. Slide 18 shows the participation of technical school in various activities. I'm sure some of you remember these activities. Slide 19 shows that from 1960-61 to 1961-62, the study period was 4 years for primary school graduates, and the study system consisted of 2 years technical intermediate, plus 2 years study for completing technical school syllabus for the first category. The second category, the study period consisted of 5 years for those who have completed 5th primary, 1 year to complete the 6th primary, plus 2 years for studying intermediate, plus 2 years for completing technical syllabus. From 1962-63 to 1968-69, the study period was 5 years for primary school graduates, 2 years for studying intermediate technical, plus 3 years for completing technical syllabus. Due to the increased demand for technical education, the second technical school was opened in Jethafs in 1969. Slide 21 shows Mr. Ahmed Al-Umran and Mr. Saeed Tabbara delivering speeches on the occasion of opening Jethafs Technical School. And the photo below shows Mr. Jawad Al-Arayed, Director of the Labor at that time, and Mr. David Maloney from Babcock, who were also in the ceremony, who attended the ceremony. Development of technical education from 1970 to 1979. In 1971, Bahrain gained its independence, which encouraged many foreign technical and commercial organizations to establish business in Bahrain. The same year, a number of steps were taken to improve technical education. 1, entry to the secondary technical school was established. Regular and evening classes were introduced. 2, an advisory committee for secondary technical education was established. 3, introduction of modified examination and marking. 4, completion of physics and chemical labs at Jethaf Secondary Technical School. 5, construction of central stores. 6, allocation of some of the British Royal Air Force buildings for the third school in Muharraq. 7, introduction of the City and Guilds of London Institute program. 8, teacher training for Bahraini staff. 9, conference on developing technical education and vocational training. 10, establishment of a new administrative structure for technical and vocational education. 11, scholarship to graduates to fill gap for the additional teachers required. And 12, evening training programs in all the disciplines at Manama and Jethaf Secondary Technical Schools. They were expanded. Slide 23 shows technical school staff who participated in the teachers training program in 1970-71, arranged with Bolton Teachers Training College in the UK. The next slide shows the visit of His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Muhammad Al Khalifa to the technical school in the 70s. The next slide shows His Highness Sheikh Isa bin Salman Al Khalifa visiting technical school exhibition in 1975-76. In 1978, a third school was opened in Muharraq. The school provided programs in machining and fitting, auto mechanic, diesel, blacksmith and welding, electrical, electronics, refrigeration and air conditioning, and vocational education in building and construction, carpentry, and sanitary works. Slide 27 shows the number of students in different specializations. From 1970-71 to 1978-79-80, which was 439, it increased to 813. In October 1980, I presented to the Minister of Education, His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Muhammad Al Khalifa, my project work, titled Planning Occupational, Technical Education and Training in Bahrain, an Alternative Approach. Very briefly, the project consisted of 5 chapters, covering changes in the economy, population education and manpower problems, the reality of technical education and vocational training, factors affecting its development and expansion. An alternative planning approach to occupational technical education and training with its stages covering needs analysis, curriculum design, taking into consideration key issues such as knowledge, skills, and personality traits at basic stage, that is the general vocational stage education, stage 1 secondary technical education, stage 2 job entry training, and further education, stage 3 career long further training and opportunities for education and retraining. Now, the 4th technical school, Al Jabariya, was established in 1984, but was officially opened on 20th December 1986. Al Jabariya provided the same specialization as other technical schools with the addition of instrumentation and computers. Slide 30 shows the exhibition that took place at the school on the same day. The 5th school, Sheikh Abdullah bin Isa Al Khalifa Secondary Technical School in Isa Town, was established in 1987 to replace the main Manama Secondary Technical School, which was turned into a craft center. Slide 30 shows His Royal Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa visiting the school. Slide 33 shows the number of students in the various disciplines offered from 1980 to 1990. The total number of students increased from 1,071 in 1980-81 to 2,422 in 1989-90. In fact, it doubled the number. On 1st October 1986, an agreement was signed between the Minister of Education and the UNESCO to develop the secondary technical education programs into a modular system. The task was given to the Development Services Corporation in Beirut to implement it. The project began as an experiment at Al Jabariya Secondary Technical School in 1988-89, then to the second school in 1989-90, and to the other schools in 1993-94. The reason I say 1991 because the academic year goes over a period of 2 years. Slide 34 shows the modular courses implemented in 1986-96. As you could see, there are the number of credit hours. It is based on credit hours and shows how many credit hours for the mandatory common courses, mandatory specialized courses, optional specialized courses, and free electives. So you have a total of 198 hours, and the remainder to complete it to 250 credit hours was practical work. The next slide, slide 35, shows a group of mandatory courses. All these courses were mandatory for students to take. The next slide shows group of mandatory specialized courses. Again, they were all compulsory for students to take them. The next slide shows a group of optional specialized courses and free elective. And students are supposed to select 6 credit hours from the optional specialized courses and 6 hours from the credit hours from that group. Now, in 1991-92, the Ministry of Education sought help again from UNESCO to conduct a progress evaluation of the modular system. They presented a report about its success and recommended to continue with it. However, they also referred to the difficulties that were faced in implementing the system, such as lack of incentives, weakness of intermediate graduates entering the technical school, insufficient time allowed for teachers to teach the subjects required, weak student turnout, high cost of the system, lack of students attending summer courses, insufficient equipment and other facilities, and the necessity to link the vocational education with the labor market. In November 1995, a joint report was presented by UNESCO and ILO regarding the manpower needed in Bahrain, output of technical education and vocational training schools, and the need to reorganize. In 1996, the Secondary Education Development Committee studied the report and the difficulties facing technical education. The committee agreed to seek international expertise to assist in carrying out a comprehensive evaluation of the program with the object of improving it. In January 1997, the committee had also an opportunity to meet and discuss with Mr. John Haylor, Executive Director of the British National Council for Technical Education, who was visiting Bahrain with a proposal to introduce the new British Occupational Standard System, that is the GSVQ. The GSVQ stands for the General Scottish Vocational Qualification implemented in the United Kingdom, which merged education and training to cope with the technological changes that has taken place in the world. Accompanying him were John Shuttler, British Council Director, and Don Campbell, Training Advisor at the Bahrain Ministry of Labor. The committee, having studied the new system carefully, approved it in early 1997 and was implemented in the academic year 1997-98 to replace the modular system. The new system provided 2 tracks for technical education. The first track was the engineering technician track, intended to produce a skilled labor force who could also continue their higher studies. And second track, which was called vocational track, and it was for semi-skilled labor force. The students were selected depending on their examination results in mathematics, science, and English language. However, both systems included compulsory practical training in the course of study and the number of credit hours required for general studies subjects, supporting study subjects, and specialized subjects for the technician track. Slide 40 shows exactly the same, but for vocational track. In other words, the technician track was for those who had better background in mathematics, English language, and in science, and those who were weaker in those subjects were channeled into the vocational track because they meant to go directly to employment. Now, following the visit of the external evaluation team, Mr. Duncan Crabtree, head of the external audit group, Scottish Qualification Authority, and also added experts from James Watt College in Scotland, the Technical Education Directorate of the Ministry of Education received in May 2001 recognition from the General Scottish Vocational Qualification, which gave a big boost to the technical and vocational education in Bahrain. Slide 41 shows the total number of students and teachers in the three systems. That's the traditional system, the old system, the modular system, and the developed GSVQ system that were followed from 1990-91 to 1999-2000. So you could see over a period of, not that long, the programs were changed from one scheme, one system to another system. In 2002, academic year 2002-2003, the machinery and equipment and the labs of Muharraq Secondary Technical School were moved to a new and up-to-date facilities at Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Institute of Technology in Muharraq in preparation for receiving students in 2003-2004. Attached to the institute, a center of excellence for technical and vocational education was also established. This was part of the agreement made between the Ministry of Education and the UNESCO on 29th April 2004, with the objective of strengthening national capabilities in the development of technical education. Now, the formation of a committee for developing technical and vocational education to improve the output of technical schools to meet the need of the market began as follows. Year 2005, Symposium on Reform Education and Training under the chairmanship of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince resulted in restructuring of technical and vocational education, which meant 1, providing opportunities for girls to follow technical and vocational education, 2, syllabus for specialized disciplines based on international vocational criterion and projects-based learning, 3, field training for students at the second and third levels, 4, students specializing from the third level, 5, establishing 2 tracks, again 2 tracks, 1, specialized tracks to join labor market or technical training institutes, and the advanced track for those who can continue university education and labor market. Year 2007-2008, General Secondary Vocational Education Certificate, GS, with the cooperation of the Australian Hornsglen Institute of the Ministry of Education from Victoria State. And they did, to begin with, in 2 schools, technical school and a commercial school. This advanced curricula with modern teaching methods has been considered as better foundation system for developing knowledge, skills, and attitude. Why? To increase cooperation with the private sector, better performance and skills development, improve student performance with on-the-job training, linking students' education with their career path, and providing opportunities for girls to join technical and vocational education. Year 2008-2009, expansion of the project to 2 more schools, technical and commercial. Year 2009 and 2010, again expansion of the projects to 2 more schools, technical and commercial. Year 2010-2011, expansion of the projects to 2 more schools and graduation of the first batch with GSVEC qualification. 2011-2012, expansion of the project to include all other schools and all specialized disciplines, graduation of the second batch with GSVEC qualification, opening computer technologies program in one of the girls' schools. Year 2012-2013, expansion in the implementation of commercial track in one of the commercial schools, graduation of the third batch with GSVEC qualification, and opening computer technologies program in another girls' school, continuation of working with UNESCO experts. Year 2013-2014, graduation of the 4th batch with GSVEC qualification. Year 2014-15, opening medical equipment maintenance specialization at Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Al Khalifa Institute of Technology, graduation of the fifth batch with GSVEC qualification, and graduation of the first batch of girls in computer technology. The government program for the year 2015 included expansion of technical education by providing appropriate programs for girls, introducing new academic studies and programs to meet the market demand, which resulted in one, replacing the two tracks, advanced specialized, into a single track to ensure equal opportunities for students from job marks perspective and higher studies. In other words, the vocational track and the technician track, they were combined into a single track. Then also combining the specialized training period for the second level with the third level to ensure students benefit from training. 3, students specialized from second level to provide students more opportunities to gain technical experience and reinforce their vocational abilities. 4, establishing evaluation policies and procedures that comply with the development that has taken place in the technical and vocational education. The next slide shows the technical track, and it shows all the courses that they take. As you could see here, the second slide shows the commercial track. It will take a long time to go through all these, but I'll be very happy to, if anyone would like to have more details, to go through all the courses that are offered. In fact, I have made a comparison in one of the slides between the modular system, the British system that they followed, the Scottish system, and the Australian system, which is the GSVEC. And it will show you what courses are offered in these 3 different courses, and the approaches are different, the method of evaluation is different, the cooperation with the industry is different, the projects given are different. But because of the shortage of time, I'm just going over them now quickly. Year 2015-2016, opening medical equipment maintenance specialization in 2 girls' schools and opening a retail and logistics specialization at all girls' schools attached to technical and vocational education. Year 2016-2017, opening diesel specialization in all technical schools. And 2017-2018, applying the developed technical and vocational education program at Al-Fatih Secondary Boys School, and graduation of the first batch of the medical equipment maintenance specialization program. Year 2018-2019, applying the developed technical vocational education programs at Al-Ghazi Al-Qusayri Secondary Girls School, opening measurement and control programs at Al-Fatih Secondary School for Boys. Government program for the year 2019 included continuation of opening new disciplines at secondary schools, improvement of technical education and training, and ensuring their compliance with the market demand. And 2019-2020, opening panel beating and painting at Al-Jabiriyah Secondary Technical School. Now, technical and vocational education specialization programs offered for the academic year 2020 and 2021, they are as follows. Commercial track, they offer business studies, multimedia, retail and logistics, and financial services. In the technical track, machine shop, welding and fabrication, refrigeration, air conditioning, automotive, diesel engines, electrical and electronics, computer technology, medical equipment maintenance, mobile engineering, office maintenance, mechatronics, graphic design and printing, instrumentation and control, auto repair, and painting. Slide 52 shows the present schools and institutions that offer between 2020 and 2000 the various technical courses and programs. The next slide, 53, shows the progress in number of students since the introduction of the GSVEC program in 2007-2008 to 2020-2021, which shows the growth of the new program, while the other programs, the numbers were, as it was phased out, depleting. The next slide shows the technical education system in Bahrain, which is again clear that technical education and commercial education is a separate track, and the unified track, which is the science, literature, and the is separate. The first year of the unified track is common, then they go into the science or they go into literature. The commercial tracks then dependent from the technical track, but this is the existing model of the system. Now, talking about technical education and vocational training in Bahrain, it's very important to mention also the role and the contribution of Babcock. The first initiative for training Bahraini employees was opening a small school in Zallah in 1948 with a capacity of 38 students, and continued until mid-1952 when the new facilities were completed and shifted to Awali. The school included 3 classes, taking a total of 91 students. A second intermediate class was added for those who took a wider responsibility at work, and the third level was dedicated for typewriting and administrative courses. By the end of 1952, 748 students completed their study at the center. The other method used was training on the job and scholarships abroad. In 1953-54, 264 drivers were also trained to a skill level, and the school expanded its facilities and offered vocational training to its employees. Babcock apprenticeship scheme was introduced in January 1955 to cover all the necessary training required by the company, which focused mainly on government primary education graduates. The program covered 4 years of full-time study. The first year was a common base for all the trainees on the use of tools, equipment, and theoretical subjects, including guidance. The following 3 years, the trainees spent part of their time in the training center and part of it in one of the departments relevant to their choice of career. During the second year of their training, the students were also trained in different departments of the company. In 1957, the total number of students reached 250 receiving training in 10 different departments. The first batch of 32 graduates of the apprenticeship scheme was in 1959. In August 1959, 2 important events took place in Babcock's training programs. 1, the 4th-year graduates of the training center. 2, opening of the new laboratory. Now, in 1960, the 6th batch of 130 government primary school graduates joined the scheme, making a total of 619 trainees since its inception in 1955. In 1967, 80 Bahraini trainees from different oil operations and maintenance completed pre-prepared programs. The company also developed many programs, including ordinary diploma in mechanical and electrical engineering, GCE O-level, diploma in accounting, and diploma from Cost and Business Accounting Institute. The training program for the 3rd and 4th year was focused on their field of specialization, and more importantly, in the oil refinery. Other areas of training also included accounts department, cooking, and supervisory tasks. In the 70s, the company recorded 3 types of training for its employees. The first one dealt with Bahraini captains in the Marine Department. The second one, a joint program with ALBA to train employees from power and utilities. And the third one, an advanced program for senior employees and government officials on the use of computers in July 1972. In 1977, the company also introduced a special training course in supervisory and management during working hours, which was very attractive, and 88 employees attended. The company also sponsored 200 employees from graduates of secondary schools to attend 15 courses during working hours. In 1978, 32 Bahrainis occupied higher administrative and supervisory positions. And in 1979, the company organized a new supervisory program attended by 80 participants. Babcock also offered educational programs for its employees in 4 stages. Stage 1, a 4-month full-time program for illiterates in English and arithmetic. A total of 2,300 employees had completed this stage by 1956. Stage 2 started in 1953, a 4-month program for graduates of stage number 1 or equivalent, covering English language, Middle Eastern studies, geography, and social studies. Now, this level was comparable to that of 10 or 11-year-olds in the United States, and 600 graduated from the stage. The stage 3 lasted for 4 months. It started in 1956, and the goal was to teach English and mathematics to a level necessary for junior supervisory staff and to screen out those students incapable of further studies. Stage 4 was a 10-month full-time final stage program which aimed towards the education and training of men for supervisory jobs and to prepare students to a level that would enable the best of them to go for further education and training in the United Kingdom. The addition of 5th stage in 1961 was designed for line employees and ex-apprentices who had the potential for further development through training towards supervisory, professional, and technical positions in the company. By 1965, the number of employees who had attended the supervisory development courses reached 671. Because of the numbers graduated from technical school were not sufficient, I'm talking about that time, to satisfy Babcock's need, the company between 1950 and 1956 started a specialized training center for its employees, utilizing Manama secondary technical school classrooms to cover all the theoretical part. Between 1959 and 1965, upon the request from the authorities to raise the standard of Babcock employees, Manama Technical School established evening classes section providing a 2-year program to upgrade Bahraini employees. In 1958, Babcock sent 25 Bahrainis to the United Kingdom for further studies and training. And by 1970, a total of 53 Bahraini employees were in the UK on full-time trainees. In 1971, Babcock decided to discontinue the training programs for all levels beyond stage 3. Babcock relied on Bahrainis studying in secondary schools and in 1968 at Gulf Technical College. However, during the same period, 56 Bahraini employees were on full-time training assignments at various colleges overseas. In 1983, the company's new $4.3 million training center was opened, fully equipped to meet a wide variety of training requirements covering courses from basic crafts to supervisory management levels. In its policy on the importance of training and education, Babcock managed to accomplish many objectives, one of which was the Bahrainization plan, which reached 88%. The second objective accomplished was the ability and the success of Bahrainis in the various positions they occupied. The third objective proved the company's vision that education and training were the two successful ways to transfer Bahraini employees to innovators and operators in the oil industry, engineering, and other complementary services. Now, the concern for developing the educational system in general and technical education and training in particular led the government of Bahrain to introduce the Economic Vision 2030, which was launched in October 2008 by His Majesty the King of Bahrain. The vision came as a general framework for a set of initiatives in improving the quality of education. The guiding principles of Economic Vision 2030 are sustainability, competitiveness, and fairness. The education reform introduced a set of new projects, which included establishing Higher Council of Education, Quality Assurance Authority for Education and Training, Bahrain Teachers College, and Bahrain Polytechnic. In 2005, the Higher Education Law number 3 was adopted. This law endorsed for the first time the setting up of a Higher Education Council. All universities, both public and private, are controlled by the Higher Education Council in order to regulate, promote, and monitor the higher education sector. Its mandate is 1, improving the performance of universities, 2, monitoring and evaluating provision, and 3, regulating the new study programs. The Quality Assurance Authority for Education and Training emerged as part of the education reforms. Its main objective is 1, develop indicators, mechanisms, and guidelines for measuring and reviewing the quality of performance of education and training institutions. 2, develop and carry out national examination to assess performance levels for key stages of primary, intermediate, and secondary education. 3, review the quality of the performance of education and training institutions. 4, emphasize transparency and accountability. 5, review and update indicators and standards. And 5, collaborate with other quality assurance agencies. Now, other post-secondary technical and vocational colleges and institutes that prepare youth to enter the workforce included Teachers Training College. The initiation for the Teachers Training College began in the 50s by arranging evening classes to train teachers. The program was upgraded in 1960 to a 2-year teachers training. Men's Teacher Training College was established in 1966, followed by a Women's Teacher Training College in 1967. The two institutes were amalgamated in 1978-79 to form one co-educational university college. In 1986, the University College was merged with Gulf Polytechnic to become the University of Bahrain. Gulf Technical College was established in 1968. Initially, it was jointly supported with Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and Oman, which gave it a distinct regional orientation to provide technical training for the nationals of the Gulf states. Secretarial and business studies were introduced for the first time in Bahrain, and other disciplines such as electrical, chemical, civil, construction, engineering, plus land survey, computer science was also introduced in 1981. College of Health Science. The College of Health Science was established in 1978 by the Ministry of Health in partnership with the American University of Beirut and the University of Illinois in Chicago. In 2011, a royal decree led to a merger of this previously independent college with the University of Bahrain as a constituent college. The University College of Arts, Science, and Education was established in 1979, Amiri Decree 78. The college sought to develop interest and foster study in 3 broad areas of knowledge and research: arts, sciences, and education. Its main function was to prepare teachers for primary, intermediate, and secondary schools. Later in 1986, as I mentioned earlier, it merged with Gulf Polytechnic to become part of the University of Bahrain. The Arabian Gulf University was established in 1979-80 in the Kingdom of Bahrain to support the human development needs of the GCC countries. It was built on the belief that university and higher education is crucial in equipping the GCC society with the knowledge and skills needed to become or to be competitive in the global economy. Gulf Polytechnic. The Gulf Technical College was transformed into Gulf Polytechnic through Amiri Decree number 2, dated 18th February 1981. From a modest beginning with 18 students, enrollment grew to 2,200 in 1987. It progressed steadily to a position of a leading institution of higher professional learning, and in 1986, it merged with University College of Arts, Science, and Education to become University of Bahrain. The University of Bahrain was established in 1986, Amiri Decree number 12, 1986, which resulted in the merge of 2 colleges, the Gulf Polytechnic and the University College of Arts, Science, and Education. The University of Bahrain is the largest national university. It fulfills society's demands through offering different degrees, programs such as Associate Technical Diploma, Associate Diploma, Bachelor's Degree, Higher Diploma, Master's Degree, and PhD. BF, the Bahrain Institute for Banking and Finance, established in 1981, has been a cornerstone of the banking and financial services sector. Since its inception, the institute has grown its training and education considerably, from the banking industry to cover other sectors of the economy. BTI, the Bahrain Training Institute, was established by the Ministry of Labor in August 1992. It's now part of the Ministry of Education with the objective of providing high-quality training that meets the needs of all types of industry. Institute of Public Administration, BIPA. This was established by Decree number 65 on 28 June 2006, and it follows the Council of Ministers. The Institute seeks to achieve sustainable development for the country and its citizens, and it aims to enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of government performance. Bahrain Polytechnic is a government-owned tertiary education institute established by Royal Decree 65 in July 2008. It is considered a key initiative for Education and Training Development Committee, a project for the Bahrain Vision 2030 Master Plan. NASA Vocational Training Center was established by Royal Decree 37 for the year 2014. Its vision is to be the leading provider of skilled Bahraini nationals for the local market. Now, there are a number of other private and vocational institutes that come under the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs. The Vocational Institute Affairs was created in 2005 and is concerned with supervising private training institutions covering evaluation and services, level of performance, audit, inspect, examine, and license training programs. There are also a number of private universities in Bahrain that come under the Higher Council. Now, this slide shows Manama Technical School. The next slide shows directors and ministers of education from 1930 to present day. The next slide shows there are some old documents here. This old document is an instruction of Bahrain government advisor, Sir Charles Belgrave, dated 14th October. It's clear the instruction there as to what to be done. The next slide is a letter dated 23rd November 1941 regarding the transfer of Mr. Ali Zayani from the Ministry of Works or from Works Directorate to Technical School. The next slide, 82, shows Sheikh al-Farsi Kuwait National Technical School Certificate in 1942. This next slide shows first year certificate for Mr. Ja'far Sayyid in 1942. The next slide shows government technical school budget in 1942. 85, headmaster of technical school requesting government advisor to improve the teaching staff salaries, to increase their salaries, to improve their salaries so that he can maintain them and also attract others to come and join technical school. This slide, the next slide, next one. No, 87. I have to go over other slides. This is the one I was referring to earlier, which shows the comparison between the three different modules, the modular approach, the Scottish approach, and the existing GCPEC, the Australian approach. And as you could see, they are different. There are some common grounds like Arabic language, Islamic studies, English language, although the content is different, but in terms of hours. But there are other courses that are offered that are not offered in others, which means that technical education, vocational education, they have been trying very hard to cope with the changes that's taking place in the world. Now, I have other slides and I have other information, but I think I have gone beyond the time allocated for me, and I don't want to bore you with so much details. I thank you very much for being patient and for listening to this very lengthy, but very, very short, brief overview of technical and vocational education that has started in Bahrain and progressed over the years. I also have information about the progress of these schools. I mean, you could see these are issued by the quality assurance, and they're talking about all the schools in Bahrain, and it varies from year to year, school to school, government schools to private schools. But if you are interested, I'll be very happy to share with you. I'm sure you can get this up-to-date information if you wish. If anyone is interested in the project I presented in 1980 about an alternative approach, technical vocational education as part of the tech document, it also has got, I'll be very happy to send you a copy or discuss it with you if you wish. Anyhow, thank you very much indeed for your patience. Thank you. And many thanks for our listeners on the Zoom as well. Okay. I'll be happy to answer any queries, any questions that you have.